The Dragon Squat is the ultimate single leg feat of strength, mobility, and control. Today, you'll learn step by step how to unlock this movement. Warning, it's not easy at all, but the journey of doing this will transform your body. What's up everyone? I'm joined by William Su, who is an expert at the Dragon Squat. He has taught hundreds of people how to successfully do this movement. I'm a mere student, and I'm gonna be shown how to build up the strength to get this exercise unlocked. So what is the Dragon Squat?
So basically, the Dragon Squat is a mixture between a shrimp squat and a pistol squat. So when you combine these two together, when you bring the back leg across the working leg, that's where you start to get the movement of the Dragon Pistol Squat. So we started off with doing some hip mobility. We were in a deep squat, and then we just focused on opening the knees out. This will help to open up the adductors. And then we went to a 90-90 position, shin box rotations, and we're just opening up the hips in internal and external rotation. After that, we did the Spanish squats, which I really like because then it actually hits the quads a little bit more with the assistance of a resistance band. And after that, we did some close down squats to mimic more of a single leg movement, focusing on going as deep as you can in your range of motion. And this will actually expose your ankle mobility, which you may have noticed. So if you can actually do a close down squat while going all the way down, then we know that you have enough ankle mobility to some degree. So in terms of warming up the external rotators, which is super important, a nice drill I like to use is I would come into a seated position, have one leg straight in front of me, and then cross the other leg over the top. So the foot will be just above the knee. In that position, I will then push my knee down towards the ground, and then I would actively try to resist by having the knee drive into the hand and the hand pushing down into the knee. So it's like a contraction. I would do this for like 10 seconds, and then I'll do the opposite. So then I would try to actively drive my knee down towards the ground. I'll do this for around 2-3 rounds, 10 seconds each.
What's cool about this Dragon Squat is it exposes any weakness in your kinetic chain, either strength or mobility wise. Prerequisites before doing a Dragon Squat, what are the big basics people should have covered?
Ankle mobility, for sure. That would be the very first one. But if you've been working it progressively, let's say you started on shrimp squat and then towards pistol squat, you should have addressed the ankle mobility to the most part. The next one would be external rotation of the hip. So going to a position like a pigeon, for example, where you have the knee going out to the side, or even like a tailor's pose type of position. That is super important because if you cannot externally rotate that knee enough, especially towards the bottom of the movement, your weight will be too much towards the torso, and that's where you will actually fall down. So the more that you can get a better compression via a forward fold, that kind of movement, the better chances you'll have, especially if you can work it actively. Because in that position, the bottom, you have to really actively reach your hands towards the feet.
The perfect assessment that you can do to emulate the Dragon Squat without all the control and strength component is just sitting on the ground and then trying to get yourself into that position, because you can make an excuse, which I may have done as well, which is like, oh, I'm just not strong enough for this, but I actually lack the mobility to actually get in the position, because on the floor, I couldn't even passively reach into it as well. So that's a really humbling test that you can do to troubleshoot. Is it my external rotation that's lacking? Is it my compression that's lacking?
100%. So if you sit down on the ground and you kind of lie to the side, and then you bring what would be the working leg over the non-working leg, and try to get that foot as close as towards the hip as possible, having your legs straight and then arms reaching towards that leg, that will basically be the position of what the Dragon Squat would be at the bottom. So the first movement we did as the first progression is where we did a assisted curtsy squat. So basically we stand on one leg, we cross the non-working leg over, we drop the foot on the ground, and then we drop the knee to the side of the foot. So then this would mimic what would be the start of the crossing over. The second progression we did was the same thing, but this time it's unassisted. So therefore the foot is floating. So you would need to flex the knee or bend the knee more, so then the foot doesn't actually touch the ground.
Which is introducing balance, control, coordination.
So the third exercise was doing this on a box. So it is basically the same movement pattern as the first and second one, except this one, the leg is straight. So this will allow you to actually get a little bit deeper and give you the feeling of what it is like to have that leg going down straight up. To progress from this, ideally you want to try to get that leg going more forward, right? And so when that leg goes more forward, you would also have to start to reach the hands more forward to counterbalance.
So for me, I struggle with ankle mobility, and a quick workaround that you gave me was to raise the heel. This gives some artificial dorsiflexion just to allow me to get deep enough into the position and not get blocked by ankle range of motion. Additionally, using a counterweight was super helpful. When I tried it without these crutches, it was a lot harder for me to try and get down because of those mobility restrictions.
Or you could use both.
I use both because it's been a long week of filming, and especially with this beast, dragon squats all day.
So holding the weight tells you that your weight needs to be more forward, because when you let go of that weight, you may naturally fall backwards. So this is where the aspect of compression comes into play. The more you can compress, the more you'll reach forward, and that weight will automatically go forward.
Yeah, all about keeping that center of mass around your base support, and the weight for me really helped to encourage that reaching aspect, because left to my own device, I didn't want to do that.
And then to progress from there, all you need to do is slowly lower the platform. The lower the platform is, you have to lift up that non-working leg higher. Otherwise, that leg will hit and you'll get stuck in that position. So this will force you to work harder on the adductor part of the movement.
So this is where my journey stopped, and there's a lot of progression for all of us to do, and these previous drills, you'll have to spend time to get better at them. Will took it to the floor and just showed us the end stage dragon squat, where you need that full hip mobility, ankle mobility, and being able to use the adductors to actively lift yourself up, compress, reach across. With all of this added balance component, it is so much harder than it looks. You see Will doing it, and it's smooth, controlled, every portion of it. I'd like to think I've got pretty decent lower body strength and mobility, and I was shaking like a fish, and it was very humbling, and it really highlights that you can improve your body if you do these steps, work on the isolated components.
So the movement would be, I start on a single leg, I start bringing the non-working leg around, I start performing the squat, then once I've got about halfway, I'll start to lock that thigh onto the top of the calf. Once I get a little bit deeper towards the bottom, that's where I'll extend the leg out and try to reach the arms towards that foot. So if you find that balancing is an issue, and you do find that you can actually get to the bottom, you can make it a little bit easier by grabbing the foot at the bottom position. So therefore, your adductors won't have to work as hard, and you're a bit more of a stable position by holding something there.
How long would it take to unlock this movement?
That depends on many factors. You've got your ankle mobility factor, you've got your external rotation factor, you've got your compression, and last one, which is probably not the hardest, would be your adductor strength. So it would depend. If you have all these things, it could take you quite a few months. Let's say it's just your hip external rotation, it might take a little less time.
Okay.
And also it depends on how frequently you work on this.
What's the end result of doing this, in addition to just looking really cool and being able to bring this out for an Instagram post?
So then that would transfer into movements such as, let's say, the L-sit, because then you can actually compress into that movement. Since it's a single leg movement, it would help with your balance as well. So if you're performing movements like lunges, for example, it would help in that aspect. And since you're working on your adductors, it would also help with things like squats.
I also noticed, because it's a single leg exercise, that hip external rotation, hip stability component, you don't get that from the bilateral movements. My glute med, my TFL was working like it's never worked before. Even when doing 120 kilo plus squats with a barbell, you don't tap into that. You go on a single leg, it's forced to do the work, and it just gives you something with that kind of rotational strength that is missing from a bilateral movement.
Not only are you working on strength through full range of motion, you're also working on hip mobility. So it's like you're doing two things at once, which I think is really beneficial.
A struggle that I have, my excuse being these grotesquely large adductors that I have, I find it difficult to lift up that straight leg because it's a inner range contraction, and it's something that I don't usually do. I come from doing side splits where it's stretched and strong adductors in that position. As soon as I have to bring the leg across the body, really difficult. So I was okay to do the elevated version, but as soon as I get close towards the floor, my trail leg's going to be touching the ground. So a nice exercise you gave me is just a banded adductor exercise.
Yeah, so this would be your beginner exercise where you're standing and then you stand on a block to keep you a little bit elevated, and you attach a band to, let's say, a pillar or a wall or something that you can attach it to. And you would slightly hinge, bend the knee to create that space, and then you'll drive that foot towards the other direction. You drive the foot across the body as far as you can. You do this for, let's say, 8 to 10 repetitions with a 10-second hold. I guarantee you'll feel some kind of cramp.
That combined with actually doing the dragon squat, that combination is just, over time, you will improve, but don't be surprised if you can barely lift that leg up because it's very unique, specific strength that needs to be built. And one really helpful thing that you gave me is just to do some isolated strength with isometrics in the bottom position.
So I'm a big fan of isometrics. And so this will help you to focus specifically at that point where your weakness is. And that weakness is, for most people, I would guess, is going to be that bottom position. So if you can actually get yourself in that bottom position and try to press yourself off the floor and float, then you're going to be working that hardest position, you're going to strengthen it, it's going to make the whole movement pattern much easier when you put it back together. The higher you are off the ground, the easier it's going to be. Because again, that trailing leg has space to drop. The hardest version will be doing it on the ground. So you need to choose a progression that's the most suitable for you. The aim here would be to try to focus on compressing as much as you can around the leg, and then squeezing the adductors enough so then you're floating off the floor or the platform. Bring up that non-working leg and trying to reach towards that foot. You can use your hand to begin with to try to find the balance. Your hands might be here, and you can slowly work the hands towards the foot until you find the balance, and you can slowly let go and try to just hold that position.
All these cues are a real game changer because when I applied them, when you were yelling at me from across the room, I was starting to cramp up in my obliques, and using the hand assist and the elevation made it somewhat manageable for me to get in there. I think I still have to do a bit more work on the regressions as well as all that mobility for the different joints in the body. And piecing that together, I'm sure with time, consistency, I can unlock it and everyone else.
As long as you're working your weaknesses in conjunction to building the strength, I'm sure you'll get it.
So here is a complete workout that you can follow for the Dragon Pistol Squat produced by William, and this is going to build up your strength and mobility towards the full thing.
If you enjoyed that video and you want to see more collaboration between Daniel and I, please, click on the video?
That's it, yeah.
Please click on this video.
You just have to click this video here, guys. Okay. I'm here as well in this video.